This is Carl and I'm with Stuart, and we are taking a walk on a winter's day by the River Trent, next to Trent Bridge in Nottingham. It's very autumnal.
It's cold.
It's cold. But we're here to bring you some memories of a recent holiday we had on a Silversea ship, because everybody keeps asking us what it was like. Now, the reason they keep asking us what it was like...
It was somewhat warmer than it is today.
Very warm compared to today. People keep asking us what it was like because they know we've been on lots of cruise holidays, well over 100, we've lost count now, we've been on lots of different cruise lines, and they want to know how it compares to some of the other cruise ships and cruise lines. So, how can we break this down?
I think you could talk about the size of the ship, the facilities, the food, the service, and the atmosphere. And if you can remember what I've just said, you're doing better than I can.
All right, the ship first of all.
Okay, so the ship is small. It's a small ship. We're used to going on to ships which have got anywhere between 3,000 and 7,000 passengers. This one had about 500. So very, very small, very intimate. But I don't know, what's the best way to describe it? Intimate and subdued, I think, which leads me on to facilities.
Well, okay, just before we go on to facilities, why would you use the word subdued? Because subdued, actually, you know, if I want to go on holiday and have a party, I don't really want to go on a subdued ship.
But it's not a party ship. It's not a Royal Caribbean. It's not a P&O. It's not family orientated. Out of the 500, there was one baby and one child of about 5 years old on board. There are absolutely no facilities for the kids to do. So it's very much about sitting in bars, meeting new people, having some drinks, enjoying your food, obviously getting off the ship and doing some trips, excursions, whatever. But it's not about discos and water slides and ice rinks and climbing walls and... actually, there was a silent disco. That was probably the most adventurous thing there was.
There was a room though, which was called an activities room. Do you remember? And yeah. I said to you, I said, oh, you know, what's this? And we poked our head around the door, and actually that was a room specifically for, you know, children and teens, wasn't it really?
And it was about 3 meters square. that was it, and they had like one computer in it. So I think they must have it just in case some kids end up on board.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, there were two tiny ones, and then I think we saw a couple of family units where they had, you know, older children, basically, and that was the point. But you're absolutely right, it did, to all intents and purposes, it felt really like an adults-only ship, didn't it?
Which is why we wanted to try it.
Yeah. So the ship in question then is actually, as we're recording this, it's in dry dock at the moment, and maybe that's something we should mention. So the ship was built in 2017, and where are we now? 2025, and it's going into dry dock. So what on earth going on there? So
it's interesting because it's not as if it was in bad nick. You could see tiny little bits of wear and tear, but actually nothing drastic, and certainly far better maintained than most cruise ships we've been on. But I think what they're basically trying to do, since it was taken over by Royal Caribbean, they're wanting to get more money out of it, I'm guessing. So they're taking some of the bigger suites and basically dividing them in two to get twice as many people in. So you've got smaller cabins, so they get more people on board the ship. And then they're taking out one of the restaurants called Indoshine, and they're replacing it with SALT, which is it's something like sea and land tasting. I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but it's going to be a new restaurant, so that'd be good. Change is as good as the rest.
Now, just as I look at the River Trent, I can see actually the water is moving really very fast, and it's actually the water's quite high here, and that makes me think of the ship again that we just went on. And okay, you know, this is a river, nothing like the sea, but I thought it was quite, for a small ship, it felt pretty stable to me.
Yeah, it was in the Med. Yes, we've had choppy seas in the Med, but I don't know what it'd be like in the Atlantic or across the Bay of Biscay, because yes, it's got stabilisers, and we were lucky to meet the captain a few times, and he said the stabilisers are actually too small to make a lot of difference. And he said on a big ships are really heavy, so they don't really need them. So he said on a medium-sized ship they come into their own, but on Silver Muse, very small, and he had them out, and whether they made a difference, who knows.
The cabin, suite. Were we impressed with it? How does it compare to something like the Seabourn, the lovely Seabourn ship, Seabourn Quest that we went on?
It's virtually identical. So I think when you got the small ships, they're all basically off the same type of plan. What was the difference between the one on Silversea and the one on Seabourn? I think a full-size dining table on one with a fluffier bath mat compared to actually better champagne and caviar on the other. I don't know, you're really splitting hairs when it comes to that. But they aren't suites as you would expect them, like on Queen's Grill on Queen Mary or Queen Elizabeth. They haven't got separate rooms. They're like a very big balcony cabin, but they are all finished with marble and come with butler service and just very, very nice. Beds were comfy.
And there was a table that made into a bigger table with the use of that nice wooden fold-out contraption that the butler used. That was quite nice, wasn't it? A nice touch. He would set the table with a cloth over it.
Yeah, which leads us on to the service aspects of the whole thing. Is each of the suites came with a butler. Your wish is their command, basically. I think they're really friendly. They want to do everything for you. But we're quite simple. The best thing they did for us was the laundry, because transferring across from Celebrity, we were in the top level of their loyalty status. So the best perk it got us was free laundry each day.
And the reason that's really important as well is that, you know, if you're going on a fly cruise, and you know that cruise is, say, a couple of weeks. What that actually means is that because you can get that laundry turned around so quickly on the ship, you just don't have to pack as many clothes.
Yeah, and also because you send it off for cleaning just before you get off the ship, there's not that awful pile of washing and ironing when you get home. But as well as sort of dealing with laundry, he'll bring us breakfast all nicely set with linens and things, or whatever meal you wanted. Nothing was too much, and the difference between a big ship and a small ship, the room service actually arrived hot rather than lukewarm, so that was really good. But the service all over the ship was fantastic. Literally before you sat down in some venues, they'd already got your drink ready for you because they spotted you coming. There were no queues anywhere. I think we queued once, which was a tender operation where the sea was a bit choppy, but the rest of the time there was no wait for anything. And even the buffet is served and laid with silverware and crystal glasses, just really, really nice.
So let's talk about food, and actually I think we probably ought to spend a fair few minutes talking about the food. So we've already said that the room service was good, and you could have caviar, you could have lovely breakfast items delivered to your room, and that was all done superbly. But what about the restaurant offering in general?
So the restaurants were I was about to use the word strange, different I think is the word, because on every other cruise ship we've been on, they've had a main dining room. Now the concept on Silversea is there isn't a main dining room. On this ship there were, I think, 7 or 8 individual restaurants. Some were slightly bigger than others. The ones that were the smallest, you still had to pay extra for. Not a huge amount, I think it's $40. But it was the intimate venues that they're trying to keep the numbers down by charging for. But even if you didn't eat in those, they've all got their own theme. So there was a pizza restaurant, amazing pizzas. I can't remember, spaghetti Napoli or something, I can't remember what it was called. They'd got a grill that did the hot lava stones. They'd got a teppanyaki restaurant. They got Indochine, as we said, that is being taken out. La Dame, which is a pay extra French one. The closest thing to a main dining room was Atlantide, which is their largest restaurant, which is primarily fish and steak. And there was, of course, La Terrazza, which for breakfast and lunch is a buffet, although the waiters will serve you and carry everything for you, and in the evening turns into an a la carte Italian restaurant.
And if you did want to dine...
Plus room service as well.
Oh, room service as well, yeah. And if you wanted to dine outside in the terrazza or on the grill, you know, people, oh, you know, you can't do that in the winter or when it's a cooler cruise. Well, you can actually, because I think 2 reasons. They've got that there were blankets available,
yep,
but they also had these rather effective overhead heaters, and a lot of them as well. So, yeah, so you're not going to get cold outside.
And these ships do lots of interesting itineraries. So they can be in Alaska, they can be up in Greenland, they can head down towards the Antarctic. They're all over the place. So they're built for. One, you've got to be a bit brave to sit out in the cold weather, but they're built to cope with it.
So just majoring on food again, there were 2 things that I think were particularly impressive on this ship for food. One of them was the teppanyaki restaurant, which for me, I think if you just talk about and think about tastes, and I don't know what that was. It sounded like some kind of cannon going off near the Nottingham Forest ground, but clearly it's an act of joy going on because there were lots of cheers going up. So yeah, food. The two really impressive things were the teppanyaki restaurant, which I just thought the tastes, with everything that was served to us and the presentation of all the dishes, everything's just maxed out. It was brilliantly done, and because you saw the chefs front and centre, right there in front of you, creating what you were about to eat, it kind of added to the whole experience of your taste buds being delighted by everything that was being served to you. And I thought that the operation in there as well was so efficient.
It was very slick, and I think it was a fun experience. They don't do all the juggling that you'd see at a teppanyaki at home, but the food quality was amazing. And of course that restaurant is also at lunchtime, it's a sushi bar. No charge for the sushi at lunchtime, unlike the evening. But again, the sushi quality on board is really good. But did you really need to go down there? No, because the sushi was served in the buffet anyway.
But the pay extra element, it's not extortionate, really. It's not a massive extra price. I think the point that you made was really they're trying to keep the numbers down because it's quite a small space with a limited number of covers.
Particularly in La Dame, which is the more expensive of the two, the French one.
And my other really moment of great impression when it comes to food for this ship was when they did the sort of 4-hour brunch, which we've experienced this kind of thing on other ships where they literally go to town for like a whole morning where they're serving a sort of combination of, you know, breakfast and lunch items. So we knew it was coming. It had been well advertised and trailed in the daily newsletter. But I have to say that there was really a wow factor in the way that they did this on the ship.
I think if you can imagine, if you're into seafood, particularly piles of lobster and crab claws and prawns and cod and then chocolates and then breads, and then you go to the meats. There's just such a variety. I think it catered for all tastes, and the smell. We were on deck 6 on our cabin, and the restaurant's at deck 4. Going down the main stairway towards it, the smell of garlic and sauces, it was just gorgeous.
Just to wrap up then.
I don't think we're on to wine yet.
Oh, wine, okay.
So you've got to have a holiday without wine.
Wine's more important to you than it is to me. Okay, wine and alcohol.
So let's just the first moment going up the gangplank, you're sort of greeted by a whole display of champagne and caviar. And so that sort of sets the tone. So all of the cruises come with a fully inclusive drinks package, which includes wines, champagne. I think there were about 10 reds and 10 whites. There was some kosher wine, there was some alcohol-free wine, and then of course you've got all your spirits and your coffees. And these are spirits of top names like Hendrick's, if you're a gin drinker like us, and Tanqueray. They're all available, but the wine is by the glass around the ship. There is a pay extra list if you really want to go to the cloudy bays and really expensive Chateauneufs and things like that. But we didn't need to. The wines were good. We're not wine snobs. We like what we like. But the pours were big, and the waiters and sommeliers kept you topping up without asking too much. And in your cabin, there was always champagne available, and if you wanted bottles of spirits bought or soft drinks, you could have that as well.
So there was no hard sell, was there, about buying their extra expensive wines? We didn't really ever feel that, did we?
No, not at all.
And so that was nice. I appreciate that.
And the little bit that tickles you is all over the ship. You never have to get your card out. Like if you're on Celebrity or Cunard or anywhere, so
where you've got a drinks package.
Yeah, what package have you got? And you think, oh God, which one? I've got to tell them I've forgot my card. I want 2 drinks at the same time, or you're not allowed that within the rules. There's none of that. You can have whatever you want.
Or you can't order another drink because you've just had one 10 minutes ago, that kind of thing, yes. And so finally then, nice spa, although we didn't really use the spa facilities, but we did use the kind of changing area.
Small,
you went to the gym.
It was serviced.
Yeah, lovely.
Same as the theatre. If you talk about facilities, there was a show lounge, not a theatre. It had singers and dancers, it had entertainers, it had musicians, but it hadn't got the 4K big plasma screens and everything like that behind them. So everything is like slimmed down.
So if somebody is in the same situation that we found ourselves in, which is you've done a lot of cruises over the years, you've done some very, very nice ships, you've spent a little bit of money on, you know, a very nice holiday on a cruise ship, and you've always wanted to do this kind of luxury 6-star experience, would you say Silversea is better than some of the other offerings, or are they on a par? Is it little swings and roundabouts moments?
So I think it depends what you want. I think I'd say Silversea was just slightly more formal than, say, Seabourn. Seabourn was slightly more relaxed. The food on Silversea for us, I think, was just a step up from what we had on Seabourn. The variety of places to eat definitely was. They're both now like for like in terms of fares, because you used to get them the last cruise and the next couple we got booked, we get all our excursions included on Silversea, which Seabourn doesn't do. The other one in the market is Regent. Regent's a very similar thing, slightly, I think, glitzier ships. They're a lot more expensive because their headline fare, when you look at them, include excursions and airfares. So it is literally, I think, down to, certainly for us, we're not wealthy, so we have to be price sensitive. So it's about what we're paying for it, where's the ship going, and it's splitting hairs trying to choose between them.
I feel that we would not do these kind of holidays at the price you often see, because we just think, oh, that's just too expensive. But if you can find a decent deal, then they're a very wonderful thing. They're a truly wonderful thing to do if you want a very special holiday. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, it does. And I think there's times where, irrespective of the price, you want to splurge for an anniversary or a special birthday. And so, yeah, it's worth doing. But we've never been on a cruise where we've had a bad time. We can always make a ship work, whether that be a P&O, a Royal Caribbean, a Cunard Celebrity. As long as we know what we're getting, we can work the ship.
And I was very interested, just as one final point, that, you know, this comes back to what you just said about making a holiday and making a ship work for you. We bumped into some people that had done quite a number of Silversea cruise holidays, but you were still able to tell them things that they didn't know.
Yeah, they'd just done their, I think the cruise we were on, they just got to their Venetian Society 100 nights at sea. So they've been on board for 99 nights over the last few years, and they didn't know you could have caviar in your cabin. And that's the most decadent thing doing on board, when you're just getting ready for evening dinner, you're having a shower or whatever it may be, and the butler brings the caviar and champagne. So yeah, there's always a new little thing to explore around the corner.
So thank you for listening. It's getting a little bit cold here. My fingertips are telling me I need to be back in the warmth. So we hope this has been some use to you if you're deciding what kind of cruise holiday to do next.